That's a really good question.
I thought about wearing it. Wow. Bling.
Wrestling's pretty good. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Frank Castle is in my bones. Frank Castle is in my bones.
And the things that I saw in him and that he saw in me too.
I mean, obviously, people in Jim's life know Jim and what he's into and how he is. But do you have reservations when you were moving to the U.S. about what people in Jim's life might think of you, if they're going to accept you, or kind of people in the U.S. overall?
I have to say that, Jim being public, I thought, and me being trans, I definitely thought that there would be a lot more general negativity. So the overall reaction has been very positive, which shocked me. I thought it would be a little bit more, I guess, just negative. People who wouldn't like it, people who wouldn't agree with it, even if they were friends of Jim. I mean, honestly, I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't really have any expectations, but it's been a lot better than what I expected. I'll say that.
When your first episode dropped for the YouTube show, like I was curious. I looked at comments, and I don't know if it changed after, but it was hard for me to find a negative comment. I think the same thing on Twitter. So I guess the response to the YouTube show, are you surprised by how positive it is? Do you think it's been very positive?
Yes, I'm super surprised. I can't believe it. It feels like it's been 90% positive. And to be honest, I thought it would be 50-50, at least 50-50. So, I mean, not that there's not negative comments and, people calling me a man and a tranny, but, that's just to be expected anyways. But the fact that the generalness have been so positive is like, wow, I can't believe it. And maybe it's because we're not trying to be political about this thing. I mean, I don't know. It's been so positive.
Yeah, the one thing that's been great is the comments that are awful, we expect it. Like of course you're gonna get that. People call me a fag. I mean, it's literally exactly what we figured. But the stuff about like, hey, this sucks, this isn't enjoyable, or this isn't funny, or I don't like this, have been very, very minimal compared to that. And that's the important thing, is that people actually like it for what it is, which is just two people showing you a piece of their lives. And we haven't been accused by anyone, and this shows me that it's doing exactly what we wanted it to, of trying to convince anybody of anything. We're not trying to convince people politically to do this or to do that. We don't care. We just want them to judge us on watching us and whether they like it or not, just by what they're seeing.
Jim, I thought it was very interesting the way you kind of waited. I want to say it was like it was. I guess it was kind of planned. There was a strategy with kind of waiting to announce not just Nikki but the marriage, as we found out, was 2 years, as E-Rock would say. But you would tease that Nikki was trans, like once in a while. You wouldn't just say, "Oh, I'm seeing," or "I'm gonna marry a trans person." The jokes here and there, which kind of fit what you do, but I guess, was there a purpose to that, where you didn't want to open that door right away to at least the listeners on your show?
Yes. The reason was, and teasing it, it wasn't teasing it. It's hard not to talk about my personal life. So what happens is the times that I would say something, or the times where a joke would come out or whatever, it's very, very foreign for me not to talk about what's happening in my life. One of the main reasons was because while Nikki was going through the immigration thing and we were in Canada together, and this whole time, I didn't know, is she even going to get into the States? And if we get married, are we going to like it? And I didn't want to go through that whole thing publicly, because I didn't want to start answering questions. Hey, how long is it going to be? What's going on? Anywhere? Like, I just knew. And I also knew that if things went wrong, we had a lot of bad days with just frustrating delays. Like, just the government is slow. And I didn't want to start shooting off my big mouth on the air and go, fuck that. Like, I knew that it would be something I talked about too much, and the listeners would hate it. And I wanted to make sure that the marriage would work too, and we were both happy together, and we are.
But I think it was also very hard for Jim to not be public about it. There was many times he slipped on radio and on stage. He went, my wife You remember that?
Yeah.
I was in the US by that point, but he slept and said my wife, and people didn't know. And I guess that took the show away.
It really did. Travis was at that show, and one of my opening jokes, like my wife, and Travis goes, the whole place was like, what? But it really was about, too, this is a real marriage, and I had to make sure that we were happy and that it was legit, because I didn't want to be working through it publicly and then all of a sudden have it not work and then have to explain what happened. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I wanted to make sure that the important thing was that we were married and happy and that it was legitimately working. And then the public stuff could come after.
Nikki, Jim's known for being very honest as a performer and as a radio guy. Do you get that from him in a relationship?
It's crazy. Jim has literally been the exact same person now that he was when he met me. He's never treated me differently. Even when we got married or engaged, even before that, he's never treated me differently. So I feel that he's been the exact same person. I've never met anyone who's been as comfortable as my husband, Jim Norton, to be around anyone who's trans. And maybe it's because I'm from Norway and, you know, a smaller village. Yeah. It's so honest, open, and it's unbelievable to me.
Can you cut the trans thing? I don't want
That'd be a problem.
It's been like the same relationship since we met, I feel like.
Yeah.
We have been together for 6 years now, or known each other for.
Yeah, we've known each other since we started just talking at the very end of 2016, just as friends. And we were friends for the first 8 months. We weren't dating for 8. We actually just talked for 8 straight months before I finally went over there. In like June of 2017 was the first time we actually met in person. So for the first 8 months, it was purely a friendship. And I think that's why it works, because you're forced to get to know somebody as a person when you're only FaceTiming and you've never been in person before. It forces you to get to know them.
But we always had a romantic interest though. So,
sure.
You know.
I mean, how could she not?
But I got a lot more feelings for Jim than I thought I would when we first met. And it just kind of felt like we clicked. I remember being on the elevator when we first met, and I just thought to myself, this was nicer than I thought it would be. And I guess that was the beginning. Yeah,
and we went on our first date in Norway, went to lunch.
And Jim is the first man, I've had an ex-boyfriend. Jim is the first man to ever take me on a date in public, ever. I've not even been to a movie date. So
oh my God.
Yeah, it was our first movie. I remember that. Was it Montreal? Was it in Montreal or was it in Norway? I don't remember yet. But I think I remember our first movie date. We have pictures from. Yeah, little stuff like that. Yeah. But it was a very slow progress, and you know, it felt like something real, not like this addictive thing where you meet somebody and you're like, let's just do this irrational thing. It took a long time, so I know it's right.
And I relocated to Canada because in Norway, when I was 18, I had sent a text message to my friend regarding smoking weed. An unrelated manner, her phone was confiscated and they saw the text message, and then the police calls me and bring me in for an interview. And I was just 18, so I didn't know what to say. And then this is how they do in Norway. They send you a summons or a fine in the mail. Sorry. And when they do that, you just pay it. And once you do, it's on your record. So at age 18, and now going to the embassy to meet Jim, I didn't know that would, like, the officer literally went, you're a convicted criminal.
You were 19 when you went to him. This was a year before I met you. This wasn't like when we started talking even. I didn't know you when that happened. Yeah, it was over a text message. Like literally a text message to a friend that the police looked at cost us 5 years.
5 years. I went to the embassy 5 times. So that's like 5 years because you go once a year, I guess, because the appointment. So 5 denials. It's been, and living in Canada for 2 years, it's not like the embassy tell you yes or no. So you're just kind of living in real limbo. It's almost like a legal limbo because it's legit. Like I wouldn't know.
Yeah, they but in a way, like I told Nikki when we were in Canada together, I'm like, someday we're gonna look back on this and we're gonna have like nice moments and nice memories. And it really did it guaranteed the relationship was legitimate, because if you can survive 15 months in a little small apartment in Montreal when neither of you is from Montreal.
And they only speak French.
They only speak French.
I even went to school there, to college. Yeah. I didn't want to go to college.
Yeah. So that kind of made the pandemic was the best thing that's ever happened to me. And some would say I'm selfish, but it worked out because I got to live with her and we got to see that, like, yeah, we're compatible. This works.
Can either of you pinpoint the moment where you said, we have to record this? This is something that we need footage. This could be some kind of, the word content gets overused, but content.
So Jim has always done little videos ever since we went on our first trip. And even when he first met me, he's just done this little recording. I remember he always filmed a lot. He filmed a lot in Iceland.
Yeah.
I wonder if Jim is an archiver or filmer, so to say, because when you were young, he didn't have any videos of himself
Yeah.
as young.
Well,
So now maybe you want to document a little.
yeah. And I also knew, like, I had such fun and I thought Nikki was so interesting that I remember we were talking. I said I was going to bring podcast equipment in 2018. I was like, I want to record some of this because I like my interaction with her so much. And this is years ago. And then we wound up breaking up for a while and then getting back together. And when we got back together in early February in 2019, then fast forward a couple of years in Canada when we're stuck there, I actually bought podcast equipment and we recorded a lot of stuff, knowing that I couldn't just release an audio podcast, but just to see how it felt and did we like it? And it felt very comfortable. And I like Nikki makes me laugh and I love talking with her. It's just, she's interesting to me.
I'm at a point in life now where married life and living in the US is becoming more concrete. And I'm starting to feel that recently. Like moving from, I don't know anyone in the States. I didn't have any friends in Canada. Not that I tried to make one, but I've been living this life in singularity with Jim only for the last, 6 years? So leaving everything that I ever knew at a reasonable young age, it felt weird. But now I'm beginning to enter that phase where it's like, this is what it is. And
Yeah.
it just feels very, I guess, concrete. I don't know what word to use, but it feels good.
Yeah, you get over the fact where you keep waiting for them to take it away. Like, that's the scary part too, is you keep waiting for the government
Oh my God,
or someone to take it away.
I have literally gotten PTSD. I mean, 5 years, it's like a long, long time. So yeah, but now it feels good.
Yeah, I'm sure it's scary because you guys are both happy now. Like, you're happy, everything's working, and you don't want that.
Fine, happy.
Yeah, I think the show is the best example. I think the YouTube show is that I don't want to say hate, but love hates. Attention for Christmas tree decorating.
That, by the way, you can see.
Oh my God! Look, he's still a lazy man. Still here.
No, first of all, she's just showing off the Kiss Italian Phantom of the Park poster. Second of all, we took all the decorations off it, and we just were trying to get the super to help us throw it up. But that's got to get thrown out. It's a fake tree, and we throw it out every year. But
like
yeah,
the
that's how we
camping chairs.
interact. I'm sorry.
Throw it out like the camping chairs. Just get rid of it.
Yeah, or right off the balcony. I'd just love to drop it off the terrace.
Jim, you've talked about on the radio a couple times. I think that people that weren't accepting of this are out of your life. Is that a lot of people? Is it a handful?
If it was, I was saying, like, if anybody, there's been a couple people here and there where I noticed people. I can always tell how someone feels about it. You're not doing stand up for 30 something years and you don't have a good feel for people's, and my intuition for people is very good. And I know when people are comfortable. I know when people are a little uncomfortable because they don't know exactly how to interact. Because everything now is with transgender is if you say it wrong, you're punished or you're deemed a transphobe, or if somebody accuses you of having an unpleasant thought, all of a sudden they attack you. So I think some people are just scared that they're going to say something offensive or wrong. And then I can tell that there's friends I have who just don't like it. And it's not Nikki, it's just the idea. I can always tell.
The word transgender is always also in fire. I mean, it's in the news everywhere. Everyone knows what it is right now. So maybe it's also just curiosity or a weird relationship.
Yeah.
But I guess you can tell if they really have a problem.
I can tell. Yeah, I can tell by the things they say, the things they don't say. But no one's been outwardly hostile. I mean, again, it's nobody is going to be, like we didn't expect that. But there's been a few people where I'm like, all right, well, that's disappointing. but fuck them. I mean, too bad. Not that I'm still friendly with them, but I can feel that little wedge. You know, I don't give a shit. It is what it is.
Yeah, but anyone who watches this show, like, can tell, Nikki, you have a sense of humor, right? And you're not uptight. Like, if people had questions or were curious or want to make sure they're saying something the right way, like, would you have issues with that, or would you be like,
So comfortable. I'll tell them. I always overshare, so whatever they want to know. I mean,
Yeah.
ask me anything. Yeah, I don't have any problems with that at all.
Yeah, we're doing this. One of the things we want to do is a video podcast, because I'm not allowed to do a podcast until the contract's up. But we're just doing something on video, and one of the segments that we want to do is where people just send in questions and ask, because the amount of things people assume or the amount of things that they want to know about, it's like just we're fine. You know, I've had friends who are drunk a couple of times, 2 different times, ask about our sex, and they're not being rude. They don't have many people who they know in this kind of relationship to ask. So they have a few drinks and they're like, so the penis, and I'm like, I'm okay with it. I don't care.
You're okay with it? That's why you married me.
No, I don't mean the penis. I mean, believe me, that's why you're here. No, no. I mean, I'm okay with them asking. I'm saying I don't mind them asking at all. Like, I'm comfortable with it because I know it's coming from a place of just wanting to know something. You know, so I don't believe in scolding people. And we want people to, I think the fact that trans people are looked at as this separate group who is so hypersensitive and you can't talk to them and you can't talk about them and you have to be 100% right and you have to have the jargon right. You want it to go like, no, it's like any other group of people. You have conversations, you can ask something if you don't know it. And you know what I mean? Like, so I think that's really important, just to ask people something.
I have to say, being trans in the States, so it's really amazing. At least for me, in my experience in LA and New York, where I've been the most in the States, it's been the most liberating feeling ever. No, it really has
LA
been
and
the
New York.
most. Yeah, but that's where you get accepted as trans, right? I mean, in the Midwest or Texas, I mean, those are places I haven't been. I don't know what it's like for people there. But for me in Norway versus the States, being trans in society, it's like night and fucking day. And Norway is great, but people judge you a lot more. People will look at you. I always get stares and rude comments when I'm in Norway. But here in New York, in Canada, for the last 4 years, I haven't gotten one comment.
Yeah.
Not one.
Yeah, Norway you'd think would be better, right?
But it's not. It's really not. It's just not. Yeah, it's not.
although you guys for a while now have all this great footage and the show's working really well, do you wish sometimes you weren't recording a lot and you could just have a moment and not have a phone or a camera on you?
Me all the time. Feel bipolar sometimes. Because I lived life almost not in secrecy, but off the radar for so long that now being public for 4 or 5 months, it feels very weird.
It's weird. It's
unnatural.
Almost, yeah, it is a little unnatural, but it's also like for somebody who doesn't
scary.
like video. Right before we tape this, I had to tell her to stop shooting video. She's running around the house filming. There's fucking like gay club music playing. Everyone's doing poppers. So yeah, it's but we have plenty of those moments. Like so many of the moments are not filmed. And we again, so much of our interaction, we really do interact that way. Soraya gave us such a nice compliment. She told us, you guys are exactly the same on film as off. Like we don't set up situations and go, let's bicker. Like, this is how we talk. Like, you know, we're like an old married couple. We've been together for years. And we're very comfortable communicating.
I don't think Jim expected this Norwegian that he met to be this funny.
No, but I knew early on that I loved, you know, that she made me laugh and that she was sarcastic. And I liked her point of view on stuff. And it's just not predictable, which I loved.
Nikki, I know you went on the Burt cruise. You seemed to have a great time there from the episode, but and I also know that you're a huge fan of Cleveland.
No, I'm not. Oh my God, Cleveland. Oh my God, I don't know. What did I tell? We were in the car driving to the gig, and I'm telling the driver, Cleveland's beautiful, and she's like, yes, You should go here. And I'm honestly, I didn't like it. At least from what I saw, it's the worst place I've been so far.
It's not the prettiest place, but the gigs are amazing. I have a lot of fans in Cleveland.
I don't know. I had a culture shock. I would be scared to live there. On the first floor in Cleveland, the hotel we stayed at was like this weird retro motel that looked like it was stuck in the
No,
60s.
it wasn't. It was an Intercontinental. Don't listen to Her Majesty. It was an Intercontinental
It was
hotel.
weird.
But how were the pillows, Jim? How were the pillows? Then?
Too soft. They're too soft. I don't like a pillow that my head
He's
caves
the biggest
in.
diva I know. He doesn't even like the pillows at the London or Four Seasons.
Oh man.
I have a certain, I'm very pillow specific.
So going with life on the road, do you enjoy going to like the Comedy Cellar or some of these other gigs outside of the very fancy cruise? Do you enjoy kind of the comedian life that Jim lives?
I love the Comedy Cellar. I don't go that much because I don't want to like interfere and be like, look, I'm the wife. Like I don't want to go too much and be the annoying wife. But when I go, I've been there, 5-6 times?
Yeah.
I love the Comedy Cellar. I don't love going to the boring gigs with Jim. That I don't love. I thought the road life would be a lot more glamorous.
I told her it's not. It's a lot of just backstage, hotels, sleep late, drive at night. That's what it is.
I have to be honest, Scott. I hate the road unless it's like LA.
Yeah, at the Cellar, people like her. It's funny. Last night comics were asking, "When is your wife coming back?" Like everybody really likes being around.
Everyone has,
which is nice.
So extremely nice. It's not even. It's crazy.
Who's the funniest of Jim's friends, Nikki?
Ooh, good question. Karen's really funny. I love Karen. Karen Feehan.
Yeah.
Daniel Simonson. I love. He's also Norwegian. I think he's really funny.
Nice. I didn't expect.
Modi. I love Modi.
Modi's a gentleman.
Yes.
Yes. Jim, how has your Mark Norman said a lot of good things about your material. I'm going to talk to some other people, but how has your material changed? I don't know if you want to touch on after marriage or just since kind of, I guess, meeting Nikki. What's that material been like for you?
Well, I mean, I've always been super personal about what I'm doing in my life on stage. So that was kind of consistent. Since we started talking, and in the Cellar, I was doing stuff about having a wife for the last year. I've been working on the material. So the way it's changed, I guess, is it feels more like I'm talking about something where I have to let the crowd know that I actually mean this and this is real. And that I'm not going down a road just to be wacky. Like, you know what I mean? With any other relationship, they are not sure if I'm telling them the truth or not at first. I mean, they know you are, but with this one, they're not always sure if I'm being truthful or if I'm just trying to do a trans punchline, you know.
Some people still think it's a shtick.
It's funny that there are some people that are like, is this a bit? Like, it's like, where have you not listened to me in 20 years? Like, the people that are shocked that we're together.
Yeah, some people are shocked. Like, that's the weirdest thing, that they're shocked. I mean, if they know you.
But I also like to, I talk about things in the act. I talk about our relationship, but of course I talk about the angle of her penis, because sometimes confronting people with a part of something that you know is going to make them uncomfortable, but confronting them with them because it's true and saying this is exactly what it is and I'm fine with it, and then making them either be fine with it or not. Like, I kind of like doing that. Like, you don't have to step around it and pretend it's this delicate thing that we have to, it's like anything else in my life. Just talk about it bluntly and make people, so to speak, have it right here in front of them.
He does every night.
Yeah. So, but you know what I mean? Like, don't soft step it and just kind of, I hate the word I just said, soft step. But I like to, in a way, confront people with what I think is going to make them uncomfortable, if it's true, not for the sake of making them uncomfortable, but confronting them with it because it's the truth, and then making them kind of helping them be comfortable with it.